Hi all. Yeah, you're welcome to the fifth live session for Python programming. So, till now, we have already done how to write a very simple program in Python, how to use variables, how to work with the very basic stuff like checking conditions, and we also made a game that is tic tac toe, which is crosses and zeros you might have played in your childhood. So we put crosses and zeros at 9 blank positions, and with those positions, whosoever completes 3 crosses or 3 zeros horizontally, vertically, or diagonally wins the game. So that is what we did in the last session. Today we are going to start with a very important thing, and that is loops. So loops is something which is very important in any programming language, be it C, C++, Java, JavaScript, PHP, whatever. So if you are doing programming, you need to repeat certain code a number of times or till a condition is true. And writing that code again and again is not at all a good programming practice. So what we do, we use special statements for that, and those statements are called loops in normal words, but technically we call them repetitive or iterative statements. So we'll start the class. So hi Deepak, how are you?
I am fine, Anjali. Yeah, Anjali,
Okay.
I'm fine.
So ready to start the loops?
Yes, sure.
And before you start it, I would tell you that loops is one of the very important topic, but it is a very challenging one as well. So you'll get to practice a lot of programs to actually get hold of loops in Python or in any language, right? So as I told that the technical word for loops is repetitive statements or iterative statements. So each cycle is called a repetition or an iteration.
Mhm.
Now, why do we need it? Let's just start coding, and then only you'll understand that why do we need a loop and how it saves our time. So let's move on to our PyCharm. Okay, this was our tic-tac-toe. This we completed yesterday. Yeah, and I'll be sharing the GitHub link with you very soon. Let me upload all these programs which we have done in all these sessions, so you can see all these programs on the left panel. You would be able to get all these programs from our GitHub link, so that you can just copy from there and practice it. But still, I suggest that type them of your own. But as a backend, you can keep it with you, so that if, in case you're getting errors, you can match with the program posted on GitHub, right? And yeah, so to start with a new program, we go to file and go to new and make a new Python file. And let's say I give it a name numbers. Okay, Deepak. Now, if I ask you that you need to perform an operation which is like you have to print your name 5 times on the screen on 5 different lines, what would you be writing in Python?
Well, as a beginner, I would write print Deepak, print Deepak, print Deepak. Just copy paste it, the
Yeah,
print command 5 times.
We'll
I know that's silly, but that's what I can think of right now.
Yeah, so you'll write it once and then copy paste it as many times as you
Yeah.
want to show your name. Perfect. But now, if I have to use loops, we have majorly two statements in Python, that's for and while. Since it's a high level language, it's very like you have to use for the same purpose as we use in our daily life, and so as while. So for means like you know that how many times you have to repeat something. It is also called as auto increment loop. Whereas while we use where we are not sure that how many times it has to repeat, but I have certain condition and I want that if the condition is true, the statements should be repeated. If the condition is false, it should stop.
Okay.
So first I'll tell you about for loop. For is a keyword, so you're supposed to write it in small letters. You can't write F capital here, so it has to be small. For, take any variable name, whatever you want. So for A in range. So for A in range. Now range is a special function in Python which gives you numbers in a range. So when I'm writing range 5, it is basically generating 5 numbers. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it starts from 0 and goes up to n minus 1, right? If you could see when I write range, there is a hint coming below which is showing the syntax of range. One is you only tell the stop int. That means I should only tell where to stop. Another option is you tell start, You tell stop and you tell step.
Okay.
I'll explain you this as well. But first, let's just do the stop thing. So I want the loop to work for 5 times. So I'll be writing for A in range 5. And obviously a colon, and the tab would come automatically to show that this statement belongs to the loop, right? So I write this print after the indent. And now we're going to run this code. So if I run this code, which is numbers, and this is my output window, you can see your name is printed 5 times, although you just wrote it once. So we wrote it only once, but it is printed 5 times because the loop works 5 times. If you want to see the value of A as the loop works, so I can put comma A over here. So if I write comma A and I run it again, so you'll see we're getting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The last number never comes. Like if you've written 5, we won't get 5 ever in the range. It will go up to number minus 1. So A is changing like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Loop is working for 5 times.
So here, if we have to write, we want the series to start from 1. Can we write over here A plus 1?
You can write here A plus 1, or you can do one more thing. If you write A plus 1 here, that is good observation. If you write this, you will be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another option is I don't write 1 here, rather I want this to start from 1. So I can write 1, comma 5.
Okay,
but
start at 1 and stop at 5.
Yeah, but it will go till 4 only, so it will work 4 times. You want to go till 5, so I'll make it 1, comma 6. So if I write 1, comma 6, then also I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because it will start from 1 and go up to 6. That means 1 less than 6, that would be 5. So this is how your loop works. So we have done what happens if you give one number, that is treated as stop. If you give two numbers, the first one is start and the second one is stop. If I give another number with it, by default it increases by 1. But what if I write 2?
Oh, then it will increase by 2.
Yeah, it will be 1, 3, 5. So if I run this, it will work only 3 times. First time A will be 1, next time A will be 3, and then A will be 5. So it increases by 2. So you can increase by whatever you want. For example, if I tell you to print table of 5, you have to print multiplication table of 5, or you have to print multiplication table of any number you want. So what you can do is you can start like for num in range, I have to start from 5, I have to go to 50, so I'll give 51, and I have to increase by 5 every time. And inside this, I don't want to print any name, I just want to print the number. So I just write here print num. So if I write this and I execute this, so you can see it starts from 5, I get 5, 10, 15, 20, so on up to 50. So that's how we get first 10 multiples of 5 with the help of a loop. Similar way, if I ask you, you have to show all even numbers from 2 to 20. What should you write? If you have to show all even numbers from 2 to 20,
so we'll
what should you
start
write?
from 2.
Yeah.
And we'll go till 21.
Right.
Then we'll make the increment as 2. So for num, so for B in range,
Yeah.
2, 21 and 2.
Very good. So we write like this, and now if I print, it is going to print me all even numbers because we are starting from 2, so it's going to print all even numbers up to 20 like this. Okay, if you wanted odd numbers, then you just start from 1 instead of starting from 2, and it will print all odd numbers. Yeah, so that is fine. So are you clear with start, stop and step?
Yes.
So that is one thing that helps you to control how many times the loop works. Like in the initial programs, we made program to, input radius of a circle and print its area. We did that. Now, if I want to do that here again, I want to do that here again, and let's just save it like this only, and I'll make another program to do that. So let's say I give it a name, circles. Now what I do, I want to ask the radius, so I ask like float input enter radius of the circle. Then I calculate area, that is pi r square. For pi, you can
22
take
by 7.
yeah, 22 by 7 or 3.14. 3.14 into r square, that is rad square. So we can do that, and then we can print the area. Now this particular thing is being done for one circle. I want to do it for multiple circles. I want my program should run again and again, and I should be able to do it for 2, 3, 4, any number of circles. And if you don't want to keep it fixed, you want to ask the user like how many circles are there. I want my program should ask how many circles are there, and accordingly it works for those many circles. So I can ask the user first like how many circles are there. So I ask how many circles are there, that I get an n, and I put a loop that goes like for a in range n, and I want these statements to be repeated. I want these statements to be repeated, so they should be indented, right? Now this code is going to run for the number of times the user is going to input.
Just for a,
Yeah.
So a is a variable in range n, and
Yeah.
here we have defined the range n as the range above.
Yeah, so if user enters, let's say 4, so the loop becomes for a in range 4. Now when the
It will
loop
run 4
is,
times.
yeah, for a in range 4, that means the loop is going to work 4 times. Like right now if I enter 4, so it will work for the first time, it will ask some radius, will print its area, then it is going to ask another radius, will print its area, it's gonna ask another radius, will print the area, I enter another radius, will print the area, and then it will stop, right? So that's how we repeat. So it's up to us how many times we want to repeat, and accordingly the loop executes and keeps on doing the same thing again and again.
Okay.
So that is the advantage of loops. Like without writing the same code so many times, you can make it work so many times. Is this basic thing clear?
Okay.
Okay. So now here what I did was I was like initially asking that how many circles are there. Now as per your opinion, which program would be better? Like asking in advance like how many circles are there, or I should first find the area of one circle and then ask the user that do you want to try for another circle? If user says yes, I should repeat for another circle. If user says no, I should stop. Right? So which program you think has a better interface?
I think the second one, so that once the area is calculated, we go on to ask for another.
Right. So if you want to try that, like when you do for one circle and for the next you have to ask the user whether you want to do it again or not. So that we can do with the help of other loop, which is your while loop. Okay. So how are we going to do that? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make these statements comment, or let them be there. Comment means the statements which are not executed. You just write them for your own purpose, and we put a hash symbol to make it a comment. Okay, anyhow, I want to make it the other way, so I'm just going to copy this code, and I'm going to take a variable here and name it answer, and initially I put yes in it. Okay, so I take a variable answer and I assume that it is yes, and then I put a keyword that is while. So I write while answer is equal to yes. So while answer is equal to yes, what should I do? I should calculate the area. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. And after that, I should ask from the user, like, do you want to try for another circle? So that's it. This is your message. That's it. Now, if we look only at this code, so how will this work? answer is initially yes. The condition is checked, which says while answer is equal to yes. Yeah, if it is 3, if it is true, then it will take the radius, calculate the area, print it, and then it will ask for the answer again. If user enters yes, the code would be repeated, but if user enters no, the code will stop repeating, because this word over here, while, is the keyword which makes sure that if this condition is true, then the indented statements must be executed. But if it's false, then indented statements will not be executed. So we're going to run this again, and this time say I don't want any circles for the for loop, so I press 0. So that code will not work. Now this is working because of the while. So enter radius of the circle, I enter 6.9, I get the area, and it asks me, do you want to try for another circle? If I say yes, it's going to again ask for a radius and will show the area. If I say no or anything other than yes, so if you type anything other than yes, it will stop. So that is how we write while. So the main difference between for and while loop in Python is that whenever you have a choice, like you know that I have to repeat it for n number of times, so I'm going to take a for loop over there. But when I don't know that how many times I have to repeat, but I have certain condition, and I want that if the condition is true, let's just keep repeating. So there we go for a while loop, right? So that's how your for and while loops are taken. Now you are going to do one thing. Just look at this. Is this clear to you? You are going to write a code where you have to input a number. Like I printed first 10 multiples of 5, right? Now it won't be only 5. You will ask the user that enter a number, and you will also ask from the user like how many multiples have to be printed. So if I say that the number is 7 and I want 15 multiples, so you need to show 15 multiples of 7 on the screen. Okay, so try doing it. Show me how would you do it. For reference, you can always look at this or this. I would say this would rather help you in this, but you should make a new file. So that should be for multiples, and just take reference from here. Look at this and think what should you write so that you should get two numbers from the user, that is the number and how many multiples you need to show, and just show the number of multiples.
Okay.
Think over it. And the ones who are watching it live, they can also try the code meanwhile and comment it in the comment section. So if you want to try, you can post your answer in the comments. While Deepak is typing his code here in PyCharm, you can type your code in whichever interface you have and comment the code over here, or just wait and watch how he's doing it. You got float wrong. Yeah, then you have to ask how many multiples you want. So you have to take how many multiples you want. You should take it as an integer because we can't have 4.5 multiples of anything.
Here also I write it.
That's up to you, but the other number has to be an integer.
Let's see.
You have to put a colon. Okay. Could you explain me like how would it work by taking some example?
Okay. Let me see. Uh, So we have taken two variables. The first is num, which says that which number do you want the multiples for, and the second one is multiple, wherein we write how many multiples do you want. Try to run this command for so for a in the range. So starting number is the number itself.
Let's say I entered 5 and for
Yeah.
multiple I entered 8. Okay, so your loop is supposed to start from 5.
5, then go till the num,
8.
yeah, go till 8.
It should start from 5 and go till 8. Okay.
I mean, no, I think then multiple here also, right?
So just tell me one thing. If I enter two numbers 5 and 8, so without looking at the code, what do you think from where we should start until where we should go?
So we start at 5 and then go 8 times, and we should go till 40.
We should go till 40. That's what you're supposed to write here. So if you're starting from 5 and you're going till 40, how do you got 40? That is num multiply by multiple. So what you're thinking, you have to write the same thing in the code. Then only your code is going to work accordingly. So it has to be num multiplied by multiple in the second part. That is stop. It was num multiplied by multiple. You didn't have to multiple. And by how much you should increase?
By the num.
By the num. And we should do one more thing, that num into multiply is there, but if I just write that, it will not show the last multiple. So I should do plus 1 over there. Not here in the middle part. Num into multiple plus 1. So when we do this, you didn't require the round brackets because anyhow multiplication will be done first. But it's okay. And what should you print? Should you print num or a? Okay, run it first. So you'll get to know what happens if you print num. You have to change, I guess. Okay, you change it. So it printed 5. How many times?
Just one time.
No, scroll it. You can see 1, but it's not 1 time.
Okay. Yeah, it is printing num 8 times.
So do you need to print num 8 times, or you want to print something else?
Multiple.
How do I get that?
Print num into multiple.
No. The changing number in your loop is a. So the variable a initially starts from num, let's say 5, then it is less than 40, so it prints a, that means it should print 5. Then it is incremented by num, that means it becomes 10. So when it prints a, then 10 gets printed. Then a becomes 15, then a becomes 20. So the variable which you use with for keyword, that keeps on changing. So what you need to print is a, the changing variable. Because we've written for a in range. So the value of the variable which we have given with for, that changes from the starting point to the end point. Right?
Okay.
You can try giving some other value and see if you're getting the correct answer. Okay, let's do another very simple one for today. That is, you just have to print the numbers in reverse order. You have to ask one number from the user. Let's say user enters 15 So you have to print 15, 14, 13, so on up to 1.
Okay.
So any idea how should we do it? Okay, I'll give you a number of programs to practice, but I'll tell you a few very simple things. We go back to this numbers program. Like I told you, we have a start, we have a stop, and we have an increment. Now this could go in negative as well. If I want to print numbers, like I want to print for C in range, and I want that it should start from 5 and it has to go up till 1, so I'll give a 0 here and decrease by 1. So I'm going to give -1 over there. So if you want to decrease, you have to write -1. So that says that C will start from 5. If it's greater than 0, it will print it. Then it will become 4, then 3, then 2, and so on. So from here, I select my program numbers and I run it. So it's getting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in reverse order. So you can get values in reverse order like this. We have a lot more to do in loops, like accumulation of values. Accumulation means, like, if I tell you that you have certain numbers, you need to add them up. If I say that you have to input 5 different numbers from the user, but you need to find their sum, and those can be not only 5, that can be 10 numbers, that can be 15 numbers, but I have to add them up or show the result, or I have to multiply multiple values, something like that. So the complexity increases when you do all that. But before going into that, you have to understand the very basics of looping. So is this all clear? Means you have any doubts in whatever we have done today?
No.
So I won't overburden you with more code for loops. So you should just practice this much first. And tomorrow we'll be doing accumulation. There are some very typical programs for loops, like factorial of a number, summation of values, and finding the greatest out of 10 numbers. Like you did a program to find greatest of 3 numbers. Now just imagine if you have to do it for 10 numbers or 15 numbers, how are you going to do it? So loops will make the task much easier. So we'll be discussing all that later. But for the time being, like for tomorrow, what you can practice is that take 2 numbers from the user, A and B, okay? And you have to print all odd numbers in the given range. So you have to take 2 numbers, A and B, and whatever odd numbers you have in the range, you need to print them on the screen, right? So that is just one program you need to practice and go through whatever we have done here. So I'm repeating the code for all of you who are watching it on the channel. That is, you have to take 2 numbers from the user, A and B, and print all odd numbers which lie within that range. Okay, so that's the question. If anyone has any doubt, you can write in the comments below and I'll try to answer it in the next live session. And that is it for today's class. I hope you all enjoyed and understood how loops work. So Deepak has understood it well, as he says, and so I expect from you all. So that's it for this lesson. We'll be meeting tomorrow again at 5:30 for practicing loops. By the time I upload more, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you.